We're a really small outlet. We have about 20, 25 people on staff, and we did not have the resources to send me to China. What I ended up doing instead was going and like talking to a bunch of people who had known this panda. And we were kind of able to build this story about who he was without ever having actually met him. And he died about halfway through my reporting, in fact. It was interesting to sort of see them frame it as like, you know, we used to think about this as a scientific experiment. And so you would have all these people with clipboards, and you'd get these two pandas that maybe they'd probably never met, that had both been raised in captivity and hadn't ever really seen adult panda behavior themselves. Often they'd never had sex before, and you'd get them in this room and like they wouldn't know what to do. And they'd be kind of freaked out because there's all these people around and harsh lights, and it's like a, you know, like a cell block kind of environment. And we'd be surprised that that wouldn't work. And that is, in retrospect, funny and weird, because like if you think about it, duh. The fact that they shifted to natural mating and have done more of that now is not just a benefit for, hey, there's more baby pandas, it's also a benefit for like, hey, the pandas in captivity are having better lives because of it. It kind of deals with some of those ethical issues, and I think that's a really interesting thing. One of the scientists I talked to sort of framed it as like, you know, we don't mean to tame them, but like anytime you're keeping an animal in captivity, you're selecting for tameness. So some of these efforts in China to breed pandas for the wild, when they do that, they have kind of started going for like choosing potential mates out of groups of bears that don't actually like people, and having these panda mothers give birth and raise their babies away from humans. I mean, there's all these really great photos of the only interaction they have with humans are humans dressed in panda suits that go into these wild enclosures. And that's this whole other level of weirdness and like trying to correct our own mistakes that we have to do, apparently, to make these pandas capable of going back to the wild when they're adults. I have been a little amused at the conference today of like everybody talking about their very serious stories about like genetics and PTSD, and I'm like, I wrote a story about panda sex. I like being able to use a funny topic to sort of talk about things that are complicated and messy and more serious, like the way that we screw up things as we try to solve the problems that we created and then have to like solve extra problems. I mean, that's the idea that conservation is an experiment is what really stood out to me that I had never really thought about before when I was writing this.